That's just my baby dog. That's just my baby dog. It's my baby dog.
Such a baby dog.
Baby dog. Go back to sleep. Right, just watch the end of Frontios. Now, first things I want to say is this. Hello, yes, all right. First thing I want to say is this. It's been a little while since we watched episode 3 of Frontios, for no particular reason. We've been busy, as we are at this time of year. And watching the episode just reminded me how this is, and this was the whole reason I started doing this in this way. Doctor Who, certainly in this period of its life, is an episodic thing, okay? The way we got dropped straight into the story, Norma, whatever her name, Norma, gets assaulted by a guard, a dude, and the sort of like story just picks up where it left off. I've been talking about it at school to the kids there about chapters. Chapters are an important part of the books, and you can stop at the end of a chapter. Because anyway, I just thought it was really intriguing that because it was just long enough to have left it to have forgotten the exactitude of what had gone before, to get dropped in like that was good, and that was a nice reminder. So Frontios is by no means a perfect story. Okay, there were moments of that last episode I thought were a little bit garbled, a little bit rushed. I don't need crystal clear exposition all the time. In fact, to be honest, I think things would be more interesting sometimes if you didn't have that. But there were elements of that episode that felt a little bit jarbled. Jarbled?
Garbled?
Garbled. Jumbled and garbled. Garbled?
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm being nitpicky here, and the final nitpicky thing I must say is I really wish the tractators didn't look... The potatoes didn't look the way the potatoes look. Now, really, honestly, truthfully, I can appreciate why they've gone for that design choice. They could have been humanoids. There's nothing to suggest they couldn't have been that. I imagine the decision to make them look like burrowing insects, which makes total sense given the context of the story, was made fairly early on. Maybe the design wasn't as fully realised as they hoped. Maybe, and we'll find this out presumably when we do the reading, this was a J&T call or a production office call on the basis that there's no alien. You don't need an alien in this. This is all about people. But anyway, and we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, yes, it didn't quite succeed in the way that Ark in Space succeeds of facilitating my suspension of disbelief. But I am being very nitpicky there. Because what's brilliant about this is the fact that this is a story about individuals and the tensions that arise in stressful situations between individuals and the drama that is produced from those tensions. And that is an absolutely brilliant basis to write a Doctor Who story around. There were very, very good performances throughout this story. I can't think of a weak performance, actually, in this story.
No, they were all good.
I don't think anybody let the side down at all. I think the companions had things to do. Turlo's sort of race memory thing. You see, he lives down on Turlo, and I'm having a growing appreciation of Turlo.
Yeah, he's not. I think it's that I don't like him.
I think that's fair.
I'm not in that frame because I feel like.
No. Oh, you are a bit. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, now you have to just read.
No. Yeah, he's not always likeable, but I think that's intriguing for a Doctor Who companion. And Janet Fielding's actually come out, and you're going to balk at this, Lib, and you're welcome to, that one of the things that Janet Fielding, I'm sure, I'm even paraphrasing here, I am paraphrasing, about Tegan is that she's a brave, strong character, but not exactly the most intelligent character. She has conviction, but not exactly the street smarts to back it up, which again, I think is a really interesting take on a Doctor Who companion. She's got heart, but maybe she's not, she's certainly not a Nissa. She doesn't have that like animal instinct that Leela has. So this is really interesting. I think that Davison's Doctor, I think in this episode in particular, you saw the potential that Davison's Doctor has had all along, providing he's given the scripts to back him up. There's a subtlety to his performance that other Doctors completely shy away against. The obvious predecessor that we can refer to as Troughton, in so much as his ability to be subtle with his performances. None of the other Doctors have been subtle by any stretch of the imagination. And I think in this story you did get a sense of where Davison could have taken this Doctor had he been given good scripts to work with all the way through, in the same way that early Baker had. We also need to reflect. This is a Bidmead story. Bidmead story. And when's the last Bidmead story? Oh, it was Castrovalva, Logopolis and Castrovalva.
Good, I remember that.
Yeah, and I seem to remember back in the day of Logopolis and Castrovalva, for all that I did whinge about Castrovalva, I thought the first two episodes were slightly more style than substance, and not even that much style in context. The last two episodes were explosively good. And there's something about his scripts that are intelligent, that have things to say, that give actors things to act. Hello. But that sadly has not always been the case for Davison's run, and he's been saddled with a disproportionately large amount of crap. And I think that as a result, that his performance hasn't resonated with me anywhere near as much as they should have done. Now, while this isn't a perfect story, this is a brilliant indication of where Davison's Doctor could have been by this point of his run. If this had been, let's say this had been in place of 4 to Doomsday. Can you imagine that? What a cracking first couple of stories you'd have had with this Doctor. I mean, that just what that would have set him up for absolute success. I'm not mad, I'm not, you know by now, if you've watched any of these videos, I'm not mad passionate about the science behind the stories and this, that and the other. I don't think of Doctor Who's been science fiction, it's science fantasy, which is why it always winds me up when people go, oh, do you like Star Wars as well? Oh, I'm sure loads of people have said Star Wars. I had this kid at school, bless him, nice lad, but he said, anybody else agree with the Star Wars is amazing? And I said, no, it's a poor man's Doctor Who. And it's not even that, is it, Dusty? No. It's basically Wild West in space. Listen, it is.
I don't think your thoughts are necessarily in keeping with the general population.
The general population is wrong in this one.
Which is fine, I'm just saying.
Like, the first Star Wars film, The Phantom Menace, is all about trade wars and trade agreements. Yeah, that's really good, just because the laser. Jeez, yeah. Anyway, my point is this. I don't need all the science to be fleshed out, but there's enough in this story to make it feel solid, which in turn gives it some sense of believability. I mean, or even with the bloody earwig, plastic earwigs that are 6 foot tall wandering around, I'm just about within the realms of believability. This is one of our final few human outposts that will exist in this universe. They are having a tough old time. I can buy into that story. And it's just...
I won't say where they go.
Exactly, there's stuff to be... And even then, and this is praise indeed. I know Bidmead said some fairly unkind things about RTD, I seem to recall. But... This echoes Utopia for me. I know we've not seen Utopia yet in this story, but just that, the fact that I can make that comparison with this story and who I think is probably the finest writer ever to have written for Doctor Who, and he's back, get in, just speaks volumes about how highly regarded I now consider this story to be. So there we go. I mean, what a cracker. Genuinely, for saying I've saved this one, it's like, going down to the cellar that I don't have and opening a bottle of wine that I've already drunk. But my point is, we've just cracked open, a vintage there. And that's absolutely brilliant. That's made me super excited. And of course, weirdly, considering all the way back at the start of Davidson's tenure, I will have made some reference to it being like the early TARDIS team. We've now got a cliffhanger running straight into the next story.
It's actually making me want to know exactly what's going on.
Actually making Libby want to watch it. I already know what it is, and I'm quite looking forward to it, so that's good. So, last little bit before I wrap up here, nearly 9 minutes in. This is an exceptionally long video, but it was worth talking about. Doctor Who magic cards are out. Shall we do a video on that one of these days? Oh, yeah. We'll whip them out. We'll whip them out for the flipping ode to Davison, and it'll be awesome. And we'll all rejoice about being able to sacrifice Adric for the lols. Get in. Anyway, Frontios, highly recommended. Looking forward to the next one already.